All right, well, nice to meet all of you. Some of you have known for a long time, but in case you don't know me, I'm Dries. I started Drupal, I started Acquia. I do think it's valuable to talk a little bit about Drupal and the history, given some of the recent, I don't know what to call it, but like Twitter drama, I guess is one way to call it. And so, giving you a little bit of a better sense about Drupal and Acquia. This is me in my dorm room where I started Drupal. You can see I was a geek. I had assembly books, a chessboard, a stamp collection, compiler books, and it's from this very chair in my dorm that I started the Drupal project. And I started Drupal because I just wanted to scratch my own itch. I wanted to learn about PHP and MySQL, and I wanted to communicate with some friends. Now, I did that for a few years, and then something pretty cool happened. Howard Dean, you may not know him, but he was a presidential candidate in the United States presidential election. He was an underdog. I think he was going up against Bush, if I'm right, and he lost. However, he made it pretty darn far because he didn't have a budget, but he was the first presidential candidate ever to leverage the internet to campaign. And he created a platform called Dean Space, which was built on top of Drupal, which was amazing for Drupal, because he would get a lot of coverage in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and it would say, yada, 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 comma, built on Drupal. And created a lot of attention for Drupal, and it actually led to Drupal being used by, more and more campaigns. Funny side note, books were written about this afterwards. People said the next presidential election, 2007 or 2008, every presidential candidate will use a digital platform to campaign, and they did, and almost all of them used Drupal, which is pretty cool. By 2005, this is 4 or 5 years into Drupal, I decided to help organize the very first DrupalCon, and it was in Antwerp, where I was living at the time and where I was a student, and 30 people showed up. I could not believe there was 30 people traveling to Antwerp to talk about Drupal for a week. Could not believe it, because I would work on Drupal at night, but I wouldn't talk to anyone about it. I didn't think it was interesting to talk to my friends about, or my family definitely wasn't interested in it. So I would sit there hours every night working on Drupal, didn't talk about it, and all of a sudden people showed up everywhere. And I was a student. I was running the Drupal.org website on a server from a friend. He shared me a little bit of space on his company's server, and by 2005 the server literally melted. Like, you couldn't keep up with the traffic anymore because so many people started using Drupal. Drupal continued to grow. By 2006 we had MTV using Drupal. I've told that story a few times, but I didn't get paid to work on Drupal, but a lot of organizations would email me and say, is it okay to use Drupal? Do you think it will work? And I would say, yeah, it works. It's awesome. Let's do it. But using that as opportunities to make the platform better. And, MTV ran on Drupal for many years. Those things were early signs for me that we needed to have a company in Drupal that could make organizations like MTV successful. And that's when Acquia was born. This is our original website with our original logo. And so in one day, we cobbled together this website, launched Acquia. And this was our original website. At the time, I was still living in Belgium. 2009, I was invited to the White House. So I go there, whitehouse.gov, I meet with the CIO of the United States government. And I'm expecting them to talk about this website. It's kind of a big deal. It was all over the news. And within 10 minutes, he says, what about whitehouse.gov? Do you think that could run on Drupal? I was there with a colleague, Kieran Lal, and immediately we said, yes, absolutely, no problem. We can help you. They launched it in 9 months. never went down in the 7 years that President Obama remained in office. Fun fact, they also launched something called We the People. So now the government wants to innovate. They said, we want every citizen to be able to log in whitehouse.gov. 280 million people in the US, or at least maybe a little bit less, not everybody can read them. Acquia was taking off. I was a couple of years old by this point. I decided to move to Boston. Meanwhile, DrupalCon had grown to be like 3,200 people, totally crazy. We organized the DrupalCon in Chicago. Acquia continued to raise money. We raised money pretty much every year. So I'm skipping over a bunch of those, but we ended up raising, I think, $180 million. We kept investing in Drupal. We started gaining real enterprise customers. In the middle, it's NASDAQ switching to Drupal, and that's a CIO of NASDAQ. It's kind of small, but anyway, today, I don't have to tell you this part, but there's a lot of large organizations. Three of the 4 vaccine producers are actually on Acquia. Next, I'll talk a little bit about the future. I don't know if I have all the right slides for this or not, but let me try and we can answer. But the big thing that we're focused on is that experience wins. And it's kind of obvious, but maybe it isn't. The example that I use sometimes is it's harder and harder to win with product, and more organizations win with experience. Acquia has been shifting from a CMS company, born out of Drupal, to be a bigger DXP company, because that's where it's at. It's like the ability to deliver amazing experiences online. It's no longer sufficient to have a website. You need to do all of these other things, embrace other channels, different marketing technologies, etc., etc. Because customers really want the connected experience. Again, think about Spotify for a second, but like you can literally drive Spotify from your desktop at work. Maybe that's what you use, the desktop app for Spotify. You jump in your car, you can keep listening to your music to your mobile phone, and you get home and you can ask Spotify things through voice. Like customers want the kind of, multi-channel, cross-device, experiences, and the same thing is true for what we do. We have to go cross-channel. So as a company, we have made a lot of great bets. We made a big bet on open source that has paid off. We've made a big bet on cloud. We were one of the first ones to adopt the cloud. Literally, Amazon launched AWS, and we said we're betting the farm on AWS, and we were effectively born in the cloud. It led to Amazon investing, $20 million into Acquia. Andy Jassy, who's now the CEO of Amazon, he called us the gateway drug to the cloud. And it's because we helped a lot of large customers move to the cloud with their website. And then because we made them successful as Acquia, they would feel more comfortable to move other workloads to the cloud. A lot of them said, website is a great place to start with the cloud. It's low risk. And then, they saw the power thanks to Acquia. And so they invested because we were bringing so many customers to the cloud. Like maybe, NBC could be an example where we said, what was true 10 years ago is true today and will be true 10 years from today. Because these are multi-decade trends and they're good bets to make. And so we identified 4 things that we believe are true today and will be true 10 years from now. And these are the great things to invest in according to that principle, right? The first thing we know is our customers will have more content. I 100% believe that to be true. And the content will be delivered across multiple channels. Is there anyone that doesn't believe this to be true? I would be surprised, right? So that's why we are investing in low code, no code. That's why headless and decoupled are so important. That's why reusable content or composable content is so important. Today, even a small company has dozens of websites. You have your corporate website, you may have an employee portal, you may have a customer portal, you do a few events, each event has a website. And I think in the future, we'll see organizations have more applications or websites. The third thing that I believe to be true is we'll have more data. I mean, there's literally a data explosion happening. The last one is also very important, which is more risks. You know, today we're a lot more strict. I feel very strongly that in 10 years from today, it's going to be even a bigger topic. You know, we're going to think more about security risk, compliance risk, brand risk, privacy risk. It's only going to get, between quotes, worse or better, depending on, you know, how you look at it. I think it's better, but our customers will be talking about it more, will need to worry about it more. So that's at a highlight some of the key things that we're working on. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.